Procrastination causes you to feel this pressure of I have to, but I'm not doing it. And the worst of all is I have to, but I can't. I can't, but I have to. I have to, but I can't. So let's go on to lesson 4, your subconscious powerhouse.
You're about to hear a life-changing speech from Tracy. Relax, take notes, and watch this entire video so you don't miss anything that can have a huge impact on your life.
The conscious mind has 3 specific features. And if you take your conscious mind, we say, first of all, it is objective. In other words, it's objective, it's skeptical, it's unemotional, it is rational, it counts facts and figures, and it is discriminating. It chooses between what is better, what is worse, what is higher, what is lower, what is prettier, what is not as pretty. The conscious mind has 4 functions. The first function is to identify incoming data. Let's say, for example, you're walking across the street and you hear the roar of an engine, and you immediately identify that it's a truck and it's driving down the street toward you. The second thing you do, you say, okay, roar of engine is moving truck, is you compare it with previous experiences. You look at it and you say, how fast is it going? Well, it's driving 30 miles an hour and it's a block away, it's not a problem. If it's driving 60 miles an hour and it's 60 feet away, knowing how fast the truck will cross that, then it's a problem. You compare it with your other experiences with moving vehicles. Third thing you do is you analyze the current situation. Here you are in the street. Should you jump forward or jump back? And then number 4 is you decide what action to take. If the action is jump back, then you'll find that you'll do it instantaneously. So you've all had that experience where you have a situation and you immediately analyze, compare, you identify, compare, analyze, and decide, boom, and take action immediately. You have this all the time. You have it with ordering coffee and so on. So this is the function of the conscious mind. The compulsive negative pattern, the feeling of I have to, is manifested all along the back. First of all, it's manifested in stiffness in the back. Almost all of chiropractic is aimed at adjusting your back because it's stiff and sore. The muscles become so tight because you feel under the gun, you're behind on an assignment, you're behind on a report, you've got to get something done, I have to, this pressure to perform, and the muscles start pulling, actually pulling the spine. The muscles become so tight, they'll pull the spine out of alignment, and you'll have to go back to the chiropractor. But if the pressure is still there, you'll have to keep going back to the chiropractor. As soon as you complete the task, all the pressure goes, and the pain disappears. And so you'll feel it in the lower back, you feel it in the neck. I've got a stiff neck. You'll get stabbing pains in the back of your brain because the pressure will actually close the blood vessels and you start to have headaches. You'll get constipation. You'll get phlebitis in the legs, which can often kill you. And all of these are manifestations of the compulsive negative habit pattern. One of the things which we'll teach later, which I'll mention now, is that you can often relieve most of these problems by completing a major task. Procrastination causes you to feel this pressure of I have to, but I'm not doing it. And the worst of all is I have to, but I can't. I can't, but I have to. I have to, but I can't. And this is the source of most psychosomatic illnesses in America, this one or both in combination, is you've got this pressure to perform or this fear of failure and you're stuck between the two. I have to, but I can't. I have to, but I can't. So that's a very important thing for you to know. And as soon as you start working towards your goal, by the way, as soon as you take the first step towards your goal, the fear of failure disappears. As soon as you complete a major task, the fear of rejection disappears. At least the psychosomatic strains involved disappear. Which brings us to the relationship between the conscious and the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is very small. Let's say this is the one, it's like a golf ball on top of a basketball. The conscious mind works with tremendous speed. The subconscious mind, according to Ouspensky, works about 30,000 times faster. The subconscious mind works instantaneously. The conscious mind deliberates and reflects and reads and thinks and takes notes and analyzes and so on. The subconscious mind works instantaneously. One of the examples they used is that if you were to take a glass of whiskey, all right, and you were to take it to a chemical lab, and you were to break it down and to steam it and break it apart and analyze it in a microscope, that could take you 8 hours. If you took a shot of whiskey, you would feel the effect of that whiskey almost instantaneously. In terms of the 8 hours in the lab, it would be 1 second in the subconscious to completely analyze that whiskey. Sometimes you'll meet a person, by the way, and you'll have an instant feeling about them, spontaneous resonance, that sympathetic resonance, And it'll be based on your entire lifetime of experience, will instantaneously give you a feeling or impression about that other person. Your subconscious mind works 30,000 times faster than the conscious mind. That's why it works beyond thought. When you have a subconscious impulse, it'll come so instantaneous it's almost impossible to stop it, at least initially. We'll talk about this as we go. So this is the subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is like a massive data bank. It stores and retrieves data. It contains every single piece of information that you've ever taken in your entire life. It stores it away, and it stores it away neatly. And that's why sometimes you can recall something that you read 5 or 10 years ago. It'll just pop into your mind. Sometimes it'll be a factoid. Now, the recall is perfect. The memory is poor. The recall is there. That's why people who are under hypnosis can often remember things when they were 3 years old when they're 50. They can remember words that were said, what their mother was wearing, the bedroom they were growing up in. They can remember things that happened decades ago because it's all stored permanently. Just as the recall, the memory is good, but the recall sucks. Now, one of the roles of the subconscious mind is to store and retrieve data. You put the data away and to bring it back, and the conscious mind commands, and the subconscious mind obeys. The conscious mind commands, the subconscious obeys. Joseph Murphy wrote about the power of your subconscious mind. Well, he didn't really understand, because you'll learn tomorrow about the superconscious. The subconscious mind is a massive data bank that is like clay. You write on it with your thoughts. It has no thoughts of its own. Its job is simply to do. It's the gardener. The subconscious mind is the garden. It simply follows your commands. Whatever you tell it to do, it does, and it does it unquestioningly, and it does it without deviation or hesitation. So we say that either flowers or weeds will grow. If you plant flowers in your subconscious mind with your conscious mind, then flowers will grow. But if you don't plant flowers in your garden, what will grow anyway? Weeds will grow anyway. This is the great reason for failure in adult life. People say, well, I never meant to do this. No, but you didn't do the alternative. You didn't plant very positive, clear, constructive thoughts that you worked on all the time, and keep the weeds out. Keep the negative thoughts out. Because if you don't have very clear, positive goals that you're working on all the time, what happens is the weeds will grow. And the weeds are the fears and the doubts and the anxieties and the tensions and the frustrations and the negativity and the anger and all those things that preoccupy us. We say that you could take your mind like this, is that, and this is positive, this is negative, this is you, and it's hard to keep your mind positive. You have to work on it all the time, but the automatic default setting of your brain is negative. So if you're not consciously thinking a positive, creative thought, you automatically default to a worry or a problem. In fact, while I'm talking to you today, every so often you have a couple of seconds and you think of a money problem, a relationship problem, a health problem, a family problem, a business problem. Your mind just keeps defaulting back to your problem. You can't stop it until it becomes a habit for you most of the time to think about the things that you want, which is where we are going. All right, so either flowers or weeds will grow. So we say that the key role of the subconscious mind is to keep your behavior consistent with your previous behaviors. So whatever you have done in the past, your subconscious mind keeps you consistent with that behavior. This is called the comfort zone. If you've earned a certain amount in the past and you earn too much, your subconscious mind will give you all kinds of ideas to get rid of the money. If you're earning too little, your subconscious mind will give you all kinds of ideas and goadings to earn more. The law of subconscious activity says that the subconscious makes all of your words and actions fit a pattern consistent with your self-concept. So, for example, I am a professional speaker. When I am speaking to a small or large group, I feel completely confident, probably because I've done several hundred hours of research and preparation. So I feel very confident. Also, I've done it 5,000 times and had positive responses. So therefore, when I stand up, my subconscious mind says, oh, I've been here before, and you're completely confident. Interesting point, by the way, is your subconscious activity, your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one that you vividly imagine. You've heard this repeated over and over again. So let us say that you have a success experience. You're in business and you have a success experience with a client or a customer. And you're happy, makes you happy. Well, the subconscious mind records that as one success experience. You just won one contest. Every time you think about that success experience, you turn it over, you bask in it, you reflect on it, and you replay it. Like a replay, your subconscious mind, which can't tell the difference between something that's real or imagined, registers that as a new success experience. And each time you think about it again, your subconscious mind registers as a new success experience. So you can actually transform your thinking by taking one successful event, real or imagined, and just replaying it in your mind, just thinking about it in your mind. And each time you think about it, the subconscious mind says, there he goes again, he's successful again, there she goes again, she just had another success. Imagine you've had 50 successes in a row. What kind of confidence will your subconscious mind be giving you when you go into the next event? You'll be brimming with confidence and self-esteem, and your self-image will be positive. Your whole body language and stature will be different if you just won 50 times in a row. Are you with me so far? And you can do that just simply by replaying your success experience. Now, what if you haven't had a success experience? Create one. Say, if I was really successful, this is what would happen. Just imagine. It's called directing the movies of your mind. So what you do is you direct your own mental movie. You're the star, you write the script, you run the plot, you shoot the cameras, and you create a clear mental picture of exactly the way it would work out if it was perfect. And your subconscious mind accepts it as not only as an experience, but as a command. This is how you want these experiences to turn out. And then your subconscious mind will do everything possible to make sure that you have those experiences again. Very powerful, and it's so powerful, and it operates so quickly that once you're pre-programmed for success, you'll have just success after success after success. So we say the law of concentration, one of the great mental laws, you're going to learn about 27 mental laws in this course, is that whatever you dwell upon grows. Whatever you dwell upon grows. Whatever you think about more and more grows. And the reason this happens is, if you can imagine a computer, okay, you just take this, and let's say this is your computer, and this is all of your operating space on your disk, and here's your goal, and you think about it, and your computer gives you a certain amount of operating space, but you think about it more, and your computer assigns more and more of its capacity, your subconscious computer, to this goal. And that's why you'll find, as Peter Drucker said, whenever you find something getting done, you find a monomaniac with a mission. One of the most important success principles is that of commitment, is people are 100% totally committed to the achievement of a goal, whatever it happens to be. And as a result, more and more of their mental capacity is assigned to help you to achieve the goal. The more you dwell upon it, the more you think about it, the more of your mind, the more of your emotions are taken over by it, until you reach the point you can't think of anything else. And all those incredible mental resources that you have stored away, and all the ones that you can attract, become available to you. Who are unsuccessful people? Is they think of 10 or 20 or 50 things at once, and half of them contradict the rest. And if they got this, they couldn't get that, and they want to play golf, and they want to have lots of money, and they want to be thin, but they want to eat cheesecake. And so you have a positive thought and a negative thought, and they just keep canceling each other, and not a darn thing happens. But successful people are really, really clear about what it is they really want. And what they do is they think about it all the time, and the more they think about it, the more ideas they have, the more positive they become. Thinking about a goal, by the way, that you want to achieve makes you happy. It raises your self-confidence. Thinking about a big goal actually improves your self-image and raises your self-esteem. Because when you're thinking about a big goal, you like yourself more. And when you're thinking about a big goal, you think, I'm the kind of person who has big goals. Here's a little exercise, and I've given this many times, and it's just kind of revolutionary. I say to people, decide today to be in the top 10% in your field, in terms of being absolutely excellent at what you do, and also in terms of being one of the top 10% of money earners in your field. Make a decision today and write it down and set it as a goal and make a plan and just work on it until you get there. Realize that everybody's in the top 10%, started in the bottom 10%, and nobody's smarter than you and nobody's better than you, so you can be in the top 10% as well if you decide to be, and if you just keep working at it until you achieve it. Well, people think about that and they think, that's a neat idea. If I was in the top 10%, boy, that'd sure solve a lot of my problems. I'd make more money, I'd move up faster in my career, I'd be more respected and esteemed, I'd have greater pride and self-confidence. Wow, that's a great goal. And before you even move from the table, you already like yourself more. Your self-image is better. You're a different person. because you have decided, I'm going to be in the top 10%. Even though you have not raised a finger to be in the top 10%, you've decided that you're going to be. That's why making a decision to do or be something different has an extraordinary effect on your life. Making a decision to get in or get out, to do it or not do it, has a tremendous effect on your life, because now suddenly all of your best mental resources go to work for you. So whatever you dwell upon grows. Now the law of substitution, and this is one of the great laws, says that you can replace one thought with another. Remember we said you could only think one thought at a time, in this case positive or negative. If you're thinking a negative thought, just like a bump car, you can bump it out and replace it with a positive thought. And if you keep replacing it with a positive thought, pretty soon the positive thought just stays. It takes root. And pretty soon, by dwelling on a positive thought, you're thinking about a positive thing, something that makes you happy all the time. You wake up in the morning, you think about your goal. You wake up in the morning, you think about what you want and how to get it. And you stop thinking negative thoughts. If you have a negative thought during the day, switch and say, wait a minute, think about something that you like. Now the two great motivations are fear versus desire. As you dwell on your desires, your fears diminish. When you think about what you want, you think about how to get it, you think about the things you could do, and you think about what a difference it would make in your life, then what happens is your fears begin to diminish, and you like yourself more, and you feel more confident. So those are powerful laws. So what is the key to unlocking your mental powers? Begin by taking purposeful, systematic control over the content of your conscious mind. Think and talk about only the things you want. Repeat over and over to yourself, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. I have to tell you a quick story, and then we'll take another 5-minute break. We're getting right back on track here. I was in Atlanta, and this gentleman came up to me, and he was about 35, 36, I would guess. Nice guy, fit, obviously working out, healthy, probably used Shalene's programs on a regular basis. And he came up to me, and it was at the break, and he was very emotional. And he said, Mr. Tracy, I said, I just got to thank you. You changed my life. I said, I want to thank, and he was kind of having trouble getting out. But this is a stand-up guy. I mean, he's a really, you could see, he's a very strong, very confident guy, but he was choking up a bit. And I said, I just put my arm around him. I said, tell me what happened. He said, well, about 12 years ago, he said, you were speaking here, and I was just starting off. I was in my early 20s. I didn't have any money, and I was driving an old car, and I wasn't doing well at sales. And I came to your seminar. Somebody came and sold your seminar. And in that seminar, you gave us an exercise to do. And you said, write down 101 goals that you'd like to achieve in your lifetime. And I'd never heard that idea. I said, it may take a long time. As a matter of fact, after you start writing goals, you'll run out of goals after 5 or 10. So get yourself a newspaper, get yourself some magazines, even go through the yellow pages, and just go through and just write down everything you want. House, home, car, travel, vacations, jewelry, stereo, computers, carpets, cars, boats, just write it down. So he sat down, he said, I followed your advice. Probably the one person in the audience who did. Went home that night and he got a spiral notebook and he began writing down goals until he had 101 goals. And he wrote them down, and for the next few weeks he read through the goals. Every weekend he'd read through those goals and he'd think about those goals and he'd think, wow, if I could have this, double his income, get a new car, have his own home. He wanted to meet the woman of his dreams. He wanted to have a lovely home. He wanted to have children. He wanted to be able to provide well for his children, put them in private schools. He wanted to be able to do all these things for his wife. And he wrote it down, wrote it down, wrote it down. He was single. He was a bachelor. Well, I said, that's great. I mean, that's wonderful. He said, Mr. Tracy, he said, I eventually stopped looking at the goals and I put the workbook away and I forgot about it. He said, about 10 years ago, and he said, about 2 weeks ago, I was going through some old things and I found that spiral notebook and I took it out and I said, look at that notebook. It's a little bit tattered because he looked at it several times. I said, I wonder how I did. So he took out the spiral notebook and he took a pen and he went through the spiral notebook and he said, yeah. He said, I achieved this one. Yeah, achieved number 2. My income went up and keeps going up. Number 3, I got a new car. Number 4, I got a home. Number 5, I met the girl of my dreams. Number 6, we got married. Number 7, we have 2 great kids. Number 8, I got a new boat. Number 9. He just kept ticking them off. He said, Brian, he said, I didn't achieve 90 or 100. I achieved all 101 goals that have been achieved in the last 12 years. 101. He said, not 99 or 100. I ticked off every single goal. I hadn't looked at this list in 10 years. I ticked it off. Now, why do you think this happens? By the way, this is not unusual. I've heard stories like this before. Well, the reason it happens is when you write it down, you engage in what is called a psychoneuromotor activity, where you are writing it down, you see it, you verbalize it, and you physically move to write it down. And we'll talk about this tomorrow in greater detail. And so what you do is by doing that, you write it into your subconscious. You actually program it onto your hard drive, and it starts working 24 hours a day. Remember, the subconscious is working 24 hours a day, and it activates the law of attraction, it activates the law of correspondence, it changes your belief system, you trigger the cause and effect, everything starts to work, and just at the right time, kaboom, the goal is achieved, ka-chunk, and one took a year, and one took 5 years, and one took 6 years, and one took 30 days, but exactly the right time, ka-pop, it pops up, pop, pop, 101 in 12 years. Now, you can say, wow, that's really fortunate, but what if that would work for you? What if it works for everybody who does it? Would that be a good thing to think about? I have my good friend Dave Kekich, really interesting guy. He said, work on your goals as though you had a gun to your head. And so I came up with a variation on that. I said, work on your goals as though you're absolutely guaranteed of success. All you have to do is do it, and you will be successful. And you've got a gun to your head. Think about living your life like that you're absolutely guaranteed of success and you got a gun to your head. Think how much differently you would work and how much differently you would be committed and how much energy you'd put in. I mean, you wouldn't slack off and watch TV and read the paper if you were guaranteed. And I'm not talking about somebody else's goals. I'm talking about the things that you want to improve the quality of your life, and you're absolutely guaranteed. So we'll talk about that. But that's why how the subconscious works is what it does is it brings about everything that you want. Okay, let's take 5 minutes and stand up and stretch and come back. And we're getting right back on time. One quick point with regard to the conscious and the subconscious mind is if you can imagine that this is the conscious mind, it takes in information and the information goes straight into the subconscious. And the subconscious mind has two major parts, but let's just say that the bottom part is inaccessible information. These are things that happened and took place at a pre-conscious level without you being aware of them, which you can never access. You can't go back to infancy and find out what they are. But my feeling is it's like concrete that's cracked. And the concrete that's cracked, you can actually fill the cracks, like with a sealant, by driving this command, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself, into your subconscious mind. What it does is it affects and changes everything else, all of your other subconscious programming, but it also goes in and replaces and fills those cracks that in your psyche and subconscious going back from infancy where it may have caused you not to like yourself. So the power of those words repeated, it's almost like an oil well where they drive down a hydraulic fluid that goes deeper and deeper and fracks and goes into it. So as you drive that command, I like myself, into your subconscious mind, not only does it change everything else in your programming, but it also goes back and it heals the old negative ideas that may be holding you back. So I just thought I would mention that for you. All right, now this next chapter, this next session is really, really important. We call this your taking charge of your life. And many people who've come to me all over the world and say, you changed my life, and I say it was because of this, wasn't it? And they said, yes, that's what changed my life. This is where we talk about that valve that may be reversed. And if the valve is reversed, what happens is you could be living actually a good life. You could be having a great life, but you could have, or an average life, but you could have just one concept, one idea that is wrong, and it could be holding you back from achieving your full potential. Remember, our great goal in life, my great goal, is to fulfill our full potential, to become everything that you are capable of becoming, and whatever you've accomplished up to now is merely a hint or a shadow of what you're truly capable of. Many years ago, there was a woman who grew up on a farm, and she didn't get past the 8th grade. Then she got married off to a local farmer's son, and she had children. And when she was a little girl, the age of 16, she got married about 16 or 17. She was a little girl. She liked to draw pictures. She liked to paint and draw pictures. And of course, that was tomfoolery. She was a farm girl. Farm girls married farm boys and raised farm kids and worked the farm. This is the beginning of the last century. And so she did. Some of you know who I'm talking about. So she went back to work. She'd always had that sort of fantasy in the back of her mind of doing little drawings. And she and her husband raised several children on a scrubble farm back in Pennsylvania. And she worked hard, and they worked hard her whole life. And then their children grew up, got married, and had children, and they had children. And finally, at the age of 65, 66, her hands were gnarled. She had arthritis. And her doctor told her, you can't work anymore. You can't work the farm anymore. You just can't be working 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And besides, you got a Social Security check. They had never made any money. They'd scrabbled and mucked their whole lives. You got a Social Security check. Why don't you just back off? You know, you're older. You're worn out. In other words, you're not going to live that long, so you might as well enjoy what you have. So she said, well, to herself, what she'd always wanted to do in her life was to paint. So she got her first Social Security check, and she went into town, a small town, true story. She went to an art store, and she told the person that she wanted to paint. And he was very sympathetic to her, little old grandmother, farm woman. And he said, sure. He said, well, let me help you, and I'll get you some basic paints and some basic easels and things like that. So he got her set up, and she took this stuff back and set up her little easel behind the barn, and she began painting little pictures of the farm. These became known as primitive rural American landscapes. It's a whole new category of painting that was pioneered by Grandma Moses. She started painting in her late 60s and early 70s. When she was 99, they had a showing in New York at one of the great galleries of a set of original paintings from Grandma Moses. Her paintings at that time were selling for $350,000 a piece, and they were being snapped up as fast as she could paint them, 1 or 2 per week. Now here's the interesting thing, is that she had within her natural ability. She was never trained as a painter. She had a natural ability to put the landscapes on the canvas. And when she began painting, she earned more for one painting than she and her husband had earned in a lifetime of working that Scrabble farm. One painting. And they said that if she had started painting at the age of 16 with her natural ability to paint, she would be in the same category of Michelangelo and Bottolini and and Rembrandt and some of the great painters of the world. But at the very least, she would have been worth millions and millions of dollars, and one of the wealthiest painters in the world, because she had this natural ability. So why am I telling you that story? Well, it's the same story about the goat farmer who was on welfare. Sometimes deep within yourself, you have the ability to do something quite extraordinary. Emmett Fox called this your heart's desire. And he said, your heart's desire calls to you. But what stops us is mental blocks, almost like gates or grates that block us from going after our heart's desire. And so let's see if we can just get rid of those blocks so that there's nothing in front of you. It's like a football player that catches a fumble and there's no players in front of them. It's a goal to go. And they just run